Teresa Marie Lennon here. I want to tell you that it's important to set good boundaries. Also, that's the last key element of building self-esteem, is being able to set good boundaries with others. It's a right and a responsibility to set good boundaries with others so that others can know pretty much where they stand and you know where you stand in the relationship. It's important. There are two different kinds of boundaries to set. There are the physical boundaries and there are emotional boundaries. Being able to set good boundaries is an essential part of self-respect, and setting boundaries goes hand in hand with being assertive. You want to be able to say that I go this far and no farther, or you can go this far and no farther with me, sort of thing. Physical boundaries are necessary for safety and happiness. And they can make you more comfortable too, being able to set good physical boundaries with other people. Take note of your relationships and how they affect your self-esteem. If you're with someone and you usually feel like crap about yourself around that person, and just around that person, it's probably not just you who's the problem. Someone does not let you set boundaries with them, it's a serious red flag. It's important to allow others to set boundaries, and it's important that we be able to set boundaries with other people. And I'd proceed with severe caution if somebody does not let you set boundaries. What is their agenda for not letting you set boundaries? Who knows? Maybe you have a clue as to what their agenda really is. Maybe you don't. But I would proceed with caution if the other person does not let you set down boundaries. It's essential to our self-respect and our sense of self and our self-esteem to be able to set them. I think I said this before, physical intimacy should not surpass emotional intimacy. It's simply not healthy for it to physical intimacy to go faster than emotional intimacy. It's not healthy. It's not a good relationship. I'd really reconsider the relationship if the other person is pushing to cross your boundaries. Go ahead and lay down the boundaries anyway. If they do not respect them, it's on them, not you. It's well worth reconsidering the relationship. If they pretend they don't know what you're talking about, get out. That's the bottom line. Exactly. Being assertive is the best way to communicate. That seems to be something that most mental health professionals agree upon, or all of them. However, if you cannot protect yourself with assertiveness, I'd say anything goes. If you're in a unsafe situation and your back is in a corner, you can use whatever communication style you need to stop the bad behavior and protect yourself. If I have to save a life, including my own, I would use the most effective method of communicating with the person. Being assertive is not a requirement. It's not a law. You don't have to be assertive. It's just the preferred style of communication. It's the most respectful of yourself and others. But if it comes down to being in a situation where your back is up against a wall, well, sometimes being passive or passive-aggressive or even aggressive can get you out of the situation and keep you safe. When you set emotional boundaries, don't play games with them. You just don't want to play games when setting boundaries. You want to be honest about what your boundaries are. You can use gentleness, tact, and honesty when setting down boundaries. Be firm about them. Such as if you really can't stand swearing and it really offends you, and you tell someone, look, your swearing really offends me. That's being assertive, and that's laying down a boundary. Now, you can't stop that person from swearing, but if they respect you, they'll try to swear less around you and stuff. Or not at all. It's okay to be selective about who you spend your valuable time with. Our time is valuable. People pay us for our time, so time is valuable. And it's okay to be selective about who you spend your time with. You can spend your time with your friends. You don't have to spend your time with any particular person. Time is valuable, and if the other person doesn't appreciate the time you're taking to spend with them, well, I'd reconsider the relationship too. You have to decide what you're going to do when you lay down a boundary, what you're going to do if the boundary is not respected. That's important, and to stick with your decision. We have the right to set boundaries, even with, and they should allow us to. I'm all for respecting our elders. It's a good thing to respect your elders. But sometimes your elders are abusive or do things wrong, and it's okay to set down boundaries, and if they don't let you, then I reconsider that relationship too. It's not controlling or manipulative to lay down boundaries. It's really what you can tolerate and what you will tolerate and what you will put up with. And if you're playing games, then it becomes manipulation, but it's laying down honest boundaries is not manipulative or controlling. Like if you're in say your boundary has been crossed, or something was done wrong, you don't catch the ball just because someone decides to toss it in your court. You can choose to just let the game end, because a lot of times there's a lot of gameplay that goes on in life, and you don't have to play. You can walk away from conflicts and things, especially if the other person is not fighting fair. And that's usually what happens when our boundaries are crossed. We get into a conflict. If they're not fighting fair and they're not respecting your boundaries and they're just not fighting fair, you can walk away. That's okay to walk away. Stick to your guns. Stand up for what you believe in. Some people, I'll be honest with you, do not like assertiveness. Some people know what it is. Some people just don't like it. Maybe it's because they don't know it. They don't know how to be assertive themselves, or they're just not happy people. But some people in the world do not like assertiveness. You have to accept this, that assertiveness is not going to win you. Everybody's your friend. A lot of people with low self-esteem, and they want everyone to like them, and it's simply not possible. It's not possible to be liked by everyone. But laying down boundaries is good. Having realistic expectations is good. And to conclude my self-esteem presentations, to point out that if you are having pervasive mental or emotional disturbance, it would be to seek treatment. You can do all the work in the world on improving yourself, and if there's something wrong, there's something wrong, and it needs to be dealt with. There are certain issues that people have that have to do with chemical imbalances in the brain, and it's certainly not their fault. Like, I have clinical depression, and nothing I did and nothing I learned and all this stuff that I learned and tried to utilize did not help me feel better for long. And I'm sure now it was clinical depression responded to medication. almost immediately. So if you're having like pervasive mental or emotional disturbances, please seek treatment from it, especially if you're having like suicidal ideation, or you're cutting on yourself, or you're having inexplicable persistent mood swings, or you're hallucinating, you're paranoid, you think everybody's out to get you, etc. These can be symptoms of chemical imbalance, and they need to be dealt with. It's nearly impossible to build yourself up if something is really amiss. It can really seriously interfere. So I have a bibliography on my website. My website is www.teresamlennon.cz.cc, and you can find my bibliography and all the sources I used for this presentation on there. I'll dive real quick. You want to use mental discipline. It's important to learn to operate your mind. Your head is there to tell you. Try to maintain harmony. It's good to try to be loving. Have reasonable and low expectations of others. Be grateful. Pray and meditate. Give and receive graciously in the moment. Take risks. Use visualization. Learn to cope with your feelings. Laugh and celebrate. And finally, boundaries. I hope I have actually helped some people improve their self-esteem, because I think I know self-esteem was one of those catchphrases in the 80s and stuff, and some people think it's to feel better about themselves. It's we want to be happy, and we have the right to pursue happiness, and people with good self-esteem are happier than those who have self-esteem. So thank you for listening to all this, and you guys have life endings to you.